Hey everybody, welcome to another happy episode of My Partridge Family Collection. I'm your host, Patty. How are you doing? I hope that you're doing well and you're getting ready for the holidays. I've got some really cool holiday themed shows planned, so stay tuned for that. But I wanted to come on. I didn't really have this like in my schedule to do, but a lot of you have been asking about it on social media and in the comments and things. I put some shorts on my recent experience at the Hollywood show, which I love the Hollywood show. I love any type of collectible show. And these come around a couple times a year around my neck of the woods, but I know the Hollywood show does. They do shows like all throughout the whole country. They show up in Burbank, California, a couple times a year, and I only have it in my budget to go once because it does get pricey. And there's some other shows too out there, the retro show. I mean, like my daughter says, a Hollywood show is like Comic Con for old people. And I can't really argue with that. I mean, it's just so much fun. And, it's a place, if you're not familiar with it, it's like I said, a collectible show, and a lot of celebrities from, I mean, stars from the, I want to say 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They had the 90210 group there. And they've had like, they just have like, I mean, I just go on and on about all the shows and all the stars that they've had over the years. And I've gone to a few, and I wanted to make sure I went to this particular show that just happened recently because none other than our friend, let me get this out here, our friend, Danny Partridge, Danny Bonaduce here was there. And of course I wanted to see him, say hi to him. I've never had the opportunity to meet him. And I know he's done collectible shows. He used to do a lot of signing type of opportunities back in the day before he was, he, as you all know, if you follow Danny on social media and things, that he's had a recent illness. He had brain surgery. He chronicles his road to recovery, I guess, on social media. And it was really heartwarming to see him there and to talk to him. And I'll tell you about that experience. I went with intention to this show, as I do all of these type of shows, because like I said, like these things can get pretty expensive, and I have a budget. Like I go in with a budget and an intention. And my intention for this show was to meet Danny Bonaduce. Also, George Chakiris was there. And of course, he's got a connection, was on the Partridge Family, and a good friend of Shirley Jones. So I wanted to talk to him. 92 years old, by the way, the Academy Award winning actor. Just great to meet him. And then I also had the intention of going to see, they had the Lost in Space kids there, right? Billy Mumy and Angela Cartwright were there. And I mean, if there wasn't a Partridge Family, if there never was a Partridge Family, I would be doing a Lost in Space show right now, for sure. It was my favorite show as a kid. I mean, it only ran for 3 seasons in the late 60s. But I just remember sitting in my parents' bedroom at night watching the show, because my dad watched something else in the living room. He wasn't interested in Lost in Space, which is interesting because my dad was a Trekkie. I mean, we went to Star Trek conventions when I was a kid. That's a whole other story. That's another theme. But yeah, I think actually Lost in Space came on a year before Star Trek, the original series. And so I think there was some crossover there. But I just remember there was something that my dad watched that he didn't want to watch Lost in Space. So I remember going in my parents' room in their little black and white TV, sitting on their bed in the dark, watching Lost in Space and just loving it. So I had every intention of getting their autographs. But then for some reason, and I knew that Harry Hamlin was going to be at the show, but I didn't connect. It didn't connect until like the night before, when I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got to talk to Harry Hamlin, right? He starred on LA Law with Susan Dey, and I'm very interested to know his thoughts about Susan and some of the experiences that he had. So going in with a budget, with the Patty budget, I knew I couldn't get like the Lost in Space kids and Harry Hamlin. Harry Hamlin was a pricey ticket. So I made the sacrifice, and did not get did not get Lost in Space kids, but I did get to like hang out at the table, and take some pictures of them and stuff. When you go to these shows, and I don't know if like a lot of these collectible retro shows are like this, there's an admission fee. And then the celebrities are sitting at tables and they're signing, they usually have some photos and things to sign. But it costs money every time you want a signature. And then it costs money if you want to take a selfie with them. So, and then per signature. So if you have, like with Danny, I had 2 things and you have to pay for 2 signatures. I mean, they're taking their day off or 2 days off to do something like this. So, it can get pricey. And if you just go in there willy nilly without a budget, it can really, it can surprise you how much money you can go through. So I'm very, very, very careful when I go into those type of shows and collectible shows. But it's great, it's great because I think back in the day when I was a kid, like there was no really way to get an autograph from somebody unless you like saw them out somewhere. And then I remember like there were mall openings. Remember the mall openings and they'd have celebrities come. I remember I saw the whole cast of Annie at a mall opening once and got their autograph, like the original cast, like Andrew McArdle and like all of them. It's like really great. So those were the kind of the opportunities. If you were, if you went to a concert or a baseball game or something, you could wait around after the show or the event and maybe get an autograph. But so these shows are really great because there's like all kinds of stars there. I mean, Michael Leonard was there from the Waltons, Jerry Mathers from the Beaver, Leave It a Beaver, and then, like I said, all the 90210 kids. Just like a bunch of celebrities from the TV days of old. And I like I said, I've gone before and I always have a really good time. And so I was able to talk to some of these people and I'm going to share some of these stories with you. I didn't record them because, it's a fan experience, right? These people don't want to be like interviewed, right? And, I kind of thought about applying for a media credential and I've done that before. And it just seems like work, when you do stuff like that. And I wanted to be the fan. I want to be a fan when you go there. So I got Dan. Oh, and also there's collectors. There's dealers there, right? Like it's a collectible show. So there's also memorabilia and things like that there. And I did pick up some really cool items that I want to share with you. And then since we're doing this type of show, and I didn't really expect to do it, I'm also going to show you some autographs that I've picked up over the years. Some people have asked me about this, and some dragon here. I've got a whole binder full of autographs here. Guess who they are? I got some non-Partridge Family people in here too, but some people, I've heard some comments on the comment section and social media saying, "When are you going to do like an autograph?" And I was like, well, I don't really have any good stories about autographs, but maybe I do. Maybe I do, like this one. This one is a very cool one. And so we're going to look at some of the autographs that I got and pictures that I got and some stories, because some really cool stories. And I was able to talk to some people, and then I'll show you some of the things I picked up too. So let's do it. Let's go to the overhead. So I had this old Danny Bonaduce album, and I was like, I need to bring this and have him sign it. And it was really cool. He was really happy to see it. There were a lot of Partridge Family collectors there, and I saw some things that I'd never seen before that Danny had put on his Instagram. Maybe I'll screen cap them and show them to you. One was a Danny lunchbox, which I'd never seen, and he said he hadn't seen it in a while. And then there were just like some really cool, somebody brought the board game that we showed on last episode to have him sign, and just a lot of collectors, and really cool to be like around like so many Partridge Family fans and seeing like all the memorabilia that other people have is really cool. So I asked Danny about this album, and I asked him what his experience was recording it, and and what he got out of it. One of these days I'll do a spotlight on this album. And this particular copy I have is a promo copy. I think it's a white label. I don't have it here with me, but I just have the cover here. So we'll do a spotlight on this. He said it was a lot of fun. He had a lot of fun doing it, and I asked him if David gave him any pointers before he went into the recording studio, and he said yes. And then, as soon as I mentioned David, his face just lit up. I mean, you can just really tell how much David means to Danny still to this day. And he's like, David gave me all kinds of advice. He always gave me the best advice. And then I asked him, what is the one thing that you miss most about David? And he said, just his company, his friendship, his kindness, his support. And with that, I said, you know what, Danny, everybody I meet who's ever met David Cassidy say the same thing at how kind he was, you know, even to the fans. He always took time for people, and I've never heard a bad story of people who have met David. And he had a big grin on his face, and he's like, that was David. That was David. And so I really liked talking to him, you know. And he, in his words, he said he's kind of retired, but he's looking to take like a year more off. So I don't know if that's like semi-retired or, you know, because I was like, man, you should do a podcast, or, you know, like the Brady Bros, they have their podcast, but he just kind of smiled. But yeah, a lot of stimulation at that show. And he was there all day on Saturday, and I know he was there part of the day on Friday. And then I had another photograph that I wanted him to sign. But then I saw this one, and I've seen this picture before, and I was like, nah, you know what, let me get you to sign this too. And the other thing too is like, he was like, what do you want me to say? And I was like, you know, I couldn't think of anything witty. And you know, like I said, like it's an overwhelming place. So I'm just like, just write whatever. So I'm sure this is a standard thing that he writes for just about everybody. But yeah, I really enjoyed talking to him. And then I took a picture with him, and I was hugging him, like hugging him really tight. And I'm like, I'm sure glad you're healthy. And he's like, so am I. And that was really cool. Yeah. So great to meet Danny. I mean, it just warmed my heart to see him there. So yeah, so Danny Bonaduce, really great. So glad I finally got to meet him. And yes, I did spring for a photo op with him, even though my picture looks really bad. I'm like, can we take that again? No, it's one and done. But he looks good, right? You can just like cover me up here. I think he looks really good. So happy to see him there. Love it. So the other person I really wanted to meet was George Chakiris. He's 92 years old. Can you believe that? Sitting there, signing autographs, talking to everybody. And it was just great to meet him. You know, of course, being 92, he was a little hard of hearing. So I was able to sit next to him for a little while and talk to him. And I just asked him, I said, you know, what was it like to get an Academy Award from Shirley Jones in 1961? I think, for you got Best Supporting Actor for West Side Story. And of course, Shirley Jones presented him that award because the previous year she won Best Supporting Actress for Elmer Gantry. Yeah, so great. And he lit up when I said Shirley Jones. He was like, oh, I love Shirley. She's become one of my good friends. And I'm like, yeah, do you still talk to her? And he's like, oh yeah, we still talk. And of course, Shirley Jones just turned 90. So George Chakiris a little bit older than her, but yeah, he was a pleasure to talk to. I asked him about that last episode, right? Season 4, the very last episode, he played Shirley Jones's love interest, right? They were high school sweethearts. Then he went away and joined the Navy, and he came back. He was like a captain. It was the last episode, and I kind of think, this is just me surmising, because they didn't know that was going to be the last episode. I'm wondering if this might have been a reoccurring role for George. I mean, they were good friends at that point. I'm sure he would have loved to continue to working with Shirley on the Partridge Family, but he said he had a great time on the show. And like I said, you know, yeah, all these great old actors, they're not gonna be around forever. So I really loved my time talking to George. And you know, he also, if you visit his website, I'll put his website on the show notes. He's also not just an accomplished actor and dancer and stage performer. He's also a jewelry maker. He's made a lot of very exclusive lines of jewelry, stainless steel type jewelry. It's really cool. It's on his website if you go and check it out. Great guy. Love that. Worth every penny. So then, of course, I had to meet Harry Hamlin. Sorry, Angela Cartwright and Billy Mommy. Two icons. Yeah. And he was very nice. I asked him about Susan Dey. And I said, I'm a big Partridge Family fan. I have this YouTube show. I was kind of telling him about it. And I said, so I have to ask you, what was it like working with Susan Dey? And he said, you know what? Everyone said we had great chemistry. He's like, but of course, when you're filming, you don't really feel that chemistry. It's not until you get it on film or you're watching it on TV that you really see it. He said, but then for some reason in like season 4 or 5 of LA Law, they kind of broke them apart. He's like, I don't know why they did that. He's like, but they broke them apart. he said he never even saw a Partridge Family episode. He's like, I never watched the Partridge Family. I didn't know who Susan Dey was before we started filming LA Law. He's like, so she was new to me. But he said she was a pleasure to work with. He really enjoyed their time together. They had a really good friendship. And that's it. So he was really cool. And I said, you know what, Harry, I go, they always say the 6th degree of Kevin Bacon, but I think they should do 6th degree of Harry Hamlin, because you've worked with just about everybody. And he's like, I've worked with almost everybody. And I said, well, is there someone you haven't worked with that you wanted to? I was hoping he would have said Shirley Jones, but of course he didn't. He said so many. He was like, there's just so many people I still haven't worked with. And he's like, but he goes, I will tell you this. The only reason I took the role in Clash of the Titans is because I wanted to meet Laurence Olivier. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, well, that worked out for you. He's like, yeah, that worked out. that whole role really worked out for him, because I think most people there were, Clash of the Titans fans. And then plus he's got like a spaghetti sauce or something. He was signing jars of his spaghetti sauce. I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so very cool. And so just as a bonus, just because I cut into my Lost in Space budget and I couldn't get the Lost in Space kids, I did get an autograph and I got to chat with Mackenzie Phillips. So very cool. Another one of my favorite shows growing up. And talked to her a little bit about that and about her work and about her books. I've read her books. And, if you're a kid that lived in a house with alcoholics or substance abuse issues, her books are really great. Her podcast is really great. So I got a chance to talk to her. So it all worked out. So before I show you some of the cool memorabilia I picked up at the show, let me show you some autographs that I picked up, because some people have been asking, and it's pretty cool. Some of the stuff that I have here. I don't have too many, but these are the ones that I thought were really cool. This one looks a lot like David Cassidy's signature, and I think I purchased might have been a scrapbook or something like that, and this was in it. So I just took it out and put it in my autograph book. But I've seen a lot of David Cassidy autographs, and this looks pretty authentic. No certificate of authenticity, although the rest of the autographs I have do. Yeah, so we don't see Susan Dey's autograph very often. Let's see if I get a glare. But the person who sold this to me was an autograph seeker, and he did have a story behind it. There is a certificate of authenticity to it. And he did tell me that he didn't really remember getting the autograph, that he had so many autographs he was kind of selling off. But he did, tell me that he did get it from her. He just couldn't remember the circumstances, and he did get a certificate of authenticity to it. So I figure, when am I going to get a Susan Dey autograph, right? This autograph by Suzanne Krauf actually is on the back. If you watch, I think it's one of the unboxing shows, I did a big story on this and how I got that. This actually came from an estate sale. And you can see Suzanne Krauf. It says, best wishes to you, Robert. Love, Suzanne Krauf. Tracy on PF, on Partridge Family. So I thought this was very cool. This is like one of my favorite things in my collection, really. It's really very cool. Because Suzanne Krauf did a lot of Hollywood shows. She did a few. And I've seen some of her autographs from that. And, it's pretty cool to have something a little bit original. This is another Danny autograph, and this was interesting because I had bought a grab bag of Partridge Family stuff, like clippings and magazines, and like somebody just had a box, I guess, in their garage full of Partridge Family stuff, and they were like, I don't know what's in it, but here you go. And when I opened it up, it was like Christmas Day, right? It was like all these, like I said, clippings and concert tickets, like David Cassidy concert tickets and photographs and all kinds of things. And then there was this. And again, I don't know the story behind it, but of course this is when Danny was DJing one day at a time, probably when it was, tries its sobriety. And I don't know, really, I like this picture. Very cool. Let's see what else we have here. And then, oh yeah, Brian Forster did a Hollywood show a few years ago. I wasn't able to go, but there was a collector there doing a bunch of signings, giving these to Brian and having them sign them so that he could turn around and sell them, or sign them for certain people if you commissioned. So I had him sign I bought the Brian Forster one from him. So yeah, this came from the Hollywood show, and the certificate of authenticity is also from the Hollywood show. Another cool item I have, I won this on eBay. So this guy, I guess, went to see David Cassidy back east in 2012, and he had a VIP badge, and he had David sign it. Again, it looks authentic. Let's look at his to compare. Yeah, this, I would say very much so. So anyway, this is really cool. I like this a lot. He had a silver pen and signed it. Very cool, right? I love that. So we'll look at some of the other things I have in here. Some things I've picked up over the years, non-Partridge Family, but I saw my friend Christy McNichol a few years ago at the Hollywood show. Oh, and then we were talking about mall openings. So back in the day when I was a kid, I was like 13, maybe 12, 13, Bo Donaldson came to one of our mall openings, our store opening or something. And so I had him sign this. These are all the Haywoods, but they weren't all there, but these are like printed on the picture. But the one in red is actually Bo Donaldson signed that to me. Yeah. So it was fun, right? That's how we saw it. And then, like I said, when I was a kid, I saw Earl Holliman at a deli, and he was just eating. And I asked him for an autograph, and he had I don't know if he had a bag with him or, one of those book bags or something, but he pulled out a picture and he signed it. I thought that was really cool. I was going to have him sign my napkin, but he signed that. And that's the way that we got autographs when we were kids. I'm a huge Jefferson's fan. I know probably a lot of you too are, and I got to meet Marla Gibbs at another collectibles show last year. So I really treasure this. This is really great. And then, of course, got to see some of the Brady's. I don't know. I'm going to take that out, but some other random autographs. Oh, here you go. So in that grab bag that I bought, sight unseen, came with this little photo of David and Danny. And I think Danny was DJing at the time. And then a David Cassidy ticket. But yeah, I really like this. It's like a real photograph, guys. July 2001. I don't know who this guy was who had all this Partridge Family stuff, but he had some cool stuff. It wasn't like a 10-year-old girl collecting stuff. It was like really cool stuff. All right, so I'll put all my stuff back here and show you some memorabilia. Yes, okay, I think you're really gonna get a kick out of this. I got a couple of these Picture Goer series postcards, and there's Shirley Jones right there in her role in Oklahoma. She did Oklahoma in 1955, and then on the back it's a postcard. Greetings, best wishes, Picture Goer postcard. And I got another Picture Goer postcard, and I'm going to tell you about these postcards in a minute. And the first one to show you another Shirley Jones card with Gordon McCrae in Carousel, which she did a year later. But anyway, these Picture Goer postcards are very cool. Picture Goer magazine was published in the UK from 1911 to, I think, 1960. It wasn't a fan magazine, but it was like a film fan magazine. It was very much centered around the film stars, and I think it really hit its heyday in the 40s and 50s. And there were just like articles on upcoming films, reviews, behind the scenes type of pictures and articles, and then interviews with film stars. Like I said, it wasn't like a gossip magazine. It was like a real film fan magazine, I guess. And you can get them they were sold at cinemas, and they were sold at, newsstands and things like that. But what they did that was really cool, and I think they started it in the 30s, 40s, went through the 50s. They had these postcard clubs, the Picture Goer Postcard Club, and they would send you, if you joined, they would send you, I don't know if they sent you one card or they sent you a pack of cards every few weeks or so, and then you got whatever you got. They show up once in a while on eBay. I've seen them on Pinterest from time to time too. But they're interesting, right? And they're actual postcards. So you would collect these. And I think there's like hundreds of them. I don't think you can actually have a whole set. It's in great shape, right? And it tracks, right? If it's from the magazine, so the late 50s. The magazine ran its course in 1960. So Shirley Jones would be right there. The last series, I guess, of the postcards, you'd find Shirley Jones. And so then the other thing that I picked up, more Shirley Jones. I think you could see that, right? Or I need to take it out. They're called fan photos. And what these are just replicas of the 8x10 glossies, right? That stars would sign autographs. Like you'd maybe write a letter to a film studio, and then, I say, oh, I like an autograph of Shirley Jones. And instead of sending you these big 8x10 glossies, they had these little pocket photos, I guess, fan photos that they're called. See, this is the thing that, see, she can carry a bunch of these in her purse, and if someone like me came along and said, Shirley, can I have your autograph? You just whip one out and sign it. This isn't signed, this is printed on here. But these are original fan photos, and I thought that was really cool. So you find little things like that. If they're not too expensive, they're in my budget, I'll go ahead and get it. And then the other thing that I purchased, I'm not one to buy magazines, but I thought this was pretty cool. I picked up this old movie, TV family album. TV family album. It was probably a special edition. I remember my grandma had all of these magazines in her magazine rack by her recliner. And I used to dive through these. But I got this because I thought it was a nice family portrait of Shirley and Jack Cassidy and her three sons. Right. Patrick, Ryan, and Sean. And it's all about, if you go through the magazine, it's just like all about families in show business, some like divorced families, couples with kids, and just very family oriented. And then I figured, I didn't look at it until I got home, because I figured, wow, they're talking about families in show business, so that means there must be something about David Cassidy in here, or the Partridge Family. And sure enough, yeah, of course, nice little article on the Partridge Family. And I love this quote at the bottom of this paragraph. It says, Shirley Jones, a quote attributed to Shirley, and she says, "What we're doing is bridging the generation gap, giving one another a chance to love each other and entertaining our viewers at the same time." It was so true, right? Because our parents watched it, the kids watched it, and there was something for everyone, I think, there. And then on top of all that, bonus, what's on the back cover there? I know how to pick them sometimes. We have Bobby Sherman and David Cassidy, of course, in that famous episode, the end of season 1. Bonus pick for your own family album. That's great. Gotta put those two in, right? So there you have it. That's a pretty good haul for the Hollywood show, I think. All right. Doop, doop, doop. So not bad, right? Not a bad haul for a day and person on a budget. So many people there I could have got autographs from, but got to stay away from that ATM machine. It's it could get dangerous. But yeah, so, and like I said, I just give Danny Bonaduce so much credit to go out there. And like I said, I was there at 10, Danny was there. I left at 5, Danny was there. And there's a lot of noise, a lot of people talking, a lot of stimulation, even, me, I'm in my little office like 24/7, it seems. And to get out there and go, it's like, wow, it's like a lot of stimulation, and, it's tiring. But at least as a fan, you can walk outside, right? You can go across the street like I did and go get something to eat, or, sit under a tree, or, take a breath. But those, the celebrities are in there and they're signing, they're talking, everybody wants a piece of them, and talking to them. And it's like, it's a lot. So I can imagine for Danny, especially, someone who's like still recovering from this, traumatic illness and then his surgery. So, but he's doing it, and he's getting back on track. And it's really great to see. If you don't follow him on social, I really highly recommend that you do. and getting some memorabilia and stuff. So really, really a good time. And I just, I encourage you, if it's something that comes through your town, try to catch one. It's quite an experience. And I think that's it. I think we went through everything. I think I got everything going. All right. It's always so much, right? I was like, ah. But I hope you like this show. It's kind of like a surprise show. I wasn't expecting to do it, but I did have a lot of fun, and pretty cool to share these items with you and figure why not. And I do have other autographs. I'll share them with you. I know we had when I did my tops, when we did the tops show, the tops card, Partridge Family tops cards. I had a few cards that were autographed. I showed those. But when we do the shopping bag spotlight, I've got, an autograph to show you there. And then also when we do the Partridge Family 2200 AD, I've got some autographs to show you from that as well, which that'll be coming up soon. I'm watching a lot of those and that animated series right now. So getting prepped for that show. So until next time, again, thank you for joining me. And if you like the show, give a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, tells you when the new shows dropped. And also I'm doing more shorts too. So I'll tell you when I've got a new short out on YouTube. And then also leave a comment. I love to hear your comments. I'm actually just, I'm just learning about YouTube. I have a podcast that I've been doing for over 10 years on a totally different subject. And so I got the podcast thing figured out, but the YouTube thing I'm still learning. And I've just realized, oh, there's a place where all the comments live that I could actually reply, because I was going through each episode and trying to answer each. That was a lot of work, but now that I figured it out, I'm answering more efficiently in the comments when you ask me a question. And also, just love to hear your thoughts and your comments and things. So, and let me know if you've gone to like a collectible show, whether the Hollywood show or Comic-Con or the retro show, whatever comes through your town. I really, really like to hear about that. And until next time, we'll see you later. I got to remember to take off this badge so I don't ruin it. See you next time, guys. Thanks.